Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. So, when I woke up this morning, I had this realization while I was waking up, and it is probably the number one reason why you got caught up in narcissist abuse. And it's the number one reason why I keep pushing the lessons or the teaching in the course that I combine with the Why Men Just Don't Get It course is the internal awareness and the emotional grounding teachings, and it's a one-day training that I do. So in this class, you don't just do it for one day, you practice it as much as you can. So it's a series of different techniques and teachings that you physically do with your awareness and your body to reconnect with yourself, to reconnect with, I don't like to use this phrase because I think it's been abused, but to reconnect with your truth, with your power, with who you are. Now here's why. Because the number one reason why you got caught up with narcissist abuse. So let's say you grew up in a family and you had a narcissistic parent, or maybe the whole system, a narcissistic parent and a bunch of flying monkeys, and you were abused. And then at school you got abused by a teacher or two teachers, probably more than that, like over the period of 12 years. And then maybe it would be 1 out of 10 friends and they'd abuse you. And they constantly do this, and there's a reason why they're doing this. Because they're trying to take away your own permission system, your own permission power, whatever you want to call it. They're trying to take it out of you and force you to look to others for permission to be you, to live your life the way you want to do the job that you want to do the sport that you want to go after the career that you want to marry the husband or boyfriend that you want to do whatever it is that you want to do. They want to make sure that you never go back inside and you're always looking to one of them. Well, what do you think I should do? Should I marry this guy? Is it okay? Or let's say you'd never asked. They just come like, hey, why are you dating this guy? This guy's no good for you. And they'll fill your head with a bunch of bullshit. They'll turn you against the most loving person in the world because they're the most loving person in the world. What will happen is if you get around someone who's the most loving person in the world, or just a genuinely down-to-earth, caring person, man or woman, you'll start to love yourself again, and that'll ruin all the work that they did. See, they want to make sure that you are constantly traumatized, re-traumatized. They want to make sure that you are always looking to someone else. Well, what do you think I should do? And always listening to someone who whispers in your ear to take you off path. This is why self-love is the most powerful thing you can possibly do against narcissist abuse, because narcissists catch you in two ways. Number one, you don't have self-permission. Number two, you don't have self-love. It's basically the same abuse system that they put you through that causes these two things. So if you don't have self-love, oops, now you're looking for love from someone else. And now you're willing to sacrifice true love, self-love, by being abused by other people. And on top of that, you can't go inside and say, is this right or is this wrong? And even if you start to argue, hey, you're being mean, and they'll come up with some bullshit. No, it's not me, it's you. See, the thing is, I did this, it's really not a big deal. And they do all this bullshit. See, for me, the whole reason why I got out of the last group of people is because I had self-love at this point. I found an energy healer a long time ago, and she was really, really insistent on self-love. It was after I went through a breakup. She goes, well, She goes, Michael, you shouldn't date for, because I got into a relationship within 30 days later, and she goes, no, don't do that. You're going to end up in a car wreck, not a car wreck, but an emotional wreck. She goes, Michael, you need to reconnect with yourself. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, Michael, how long were you with the last girl? I said, well, 8 years. And she goes, yeah, you should be single for 4 years. And I was like, what? Because I'd never been single for probably more than maybe 3 to 6 months in my life since I was a teenager. So we went back and forth, and I was like, no way. And we kind of had like not really an argument, but I'm like, there's no way I can do that. She goes, Michael, that's the reason why you need to do it, because if you don't learn how to love yourself without someone else, people are going to be able to manipulate you and control you and do really bad things, and hurt you like in the past. She goes, look at all the stories you've told me. This is all because people that hurt you, you don't walk away. You try to love them and try to get them to forgive you when you didn't do anything wrong. So the main thing was, she was right. Like, people could abuse the hell out of me and I would never walk away. I would do everything I could to get them to stop abusing me, to be nice to them, to get them to like me. I did that for a long, long time. And you know what? It never, ever works. Abusive people never stop being abusive. They just get worse and worse and meaner each time you come back or go back to them. So her and I went back and forth, and she goes, well, okay, how about 2 years? Don't date or do anything for 2 years. I'm like, no way. And so we went down to 1 year. She was okay, but you have to promise me you will not go to a coffee shop. You won't go to a movie. You won't go to dinner. You do everything by yourself. You have to learn to be with yourself. So my friend Greg had actually, because he would go to movies alone. I'm like, why do you do that? He goes, dude, you never gone to a movie alone? I'm like, no. He goes, dude, you should try it. He goes, it's a really good thing to do. So I had actually been doing this for a couple of years, quite a few years actually at this point, because I think I was 31 years old at this point when this therapist or energy healer was saying, hey, you need to spend time alone. So I got really comfortable going to movies alone, and then I'd go to dinner alone and things like that, and it became no big deal. Whereas a lot of people, you would feel so nervous and anxiety, and people think I'm weird. I don't have that. In fact, I go out alone all the time, and there is a power in being able to do this. So first of all, we agreed 1 year, no dating, no exchanging of numbers, nothing at all. And she goes, Michael, when you are feeling lonely, when you are feeling hurt emotionally, that's when you need to self-love. So she would say, if you're at work or if you're doing something, just, take a few minutes, maybe a minute or two or 5 minutes at most, and just hold yourself and just sit there in your chair and just put your awareness inside your body where you hurt. So it could be in your heart, your solar plexus, your belly, or something like that, where you feel sad or lonely or scared or shame or any emotion that's hurting. And just be with it. Don't try to make it happy. Don't try to change it. Just allow it to feel whatever it's feeling. And then you can say, hey, when we get home tonight, I will lay down on the couch or on the bed and I'll hold you. And you can curl up in bed and you can hold that part. And the real key is to open your awareness to that area, whether it's your solar plexus, chest, or both, or whatever, or your heart, okay? So you just sit there. It's like you completely let go and allow these emotions to feel whatever they feel. And your job, it's like a child. Your job is just to be there in a supportive manner with a wide open awareness of that space, maybe your whole body, your chest, and you could expand your awareness, say, to the room or the bed that you're in, and have an awareness of that feeling. And now it feels connected to you. It feels supported. It could take 30 minutes. It could take maybe a little bit longer. what will eventually happen is it'll increase the intensity of the emotion. The key is not to tighten down. The key is to completely let go. Relax your belly, relax your gut, and allow the feeling. It'll expand. Now, the expanding is a really good thing. That means it's beginning to open up and it's about to heal and let go. So the idea of letting go is really, really huge. It's just being with it. Now, you may have to do this for 10 days, for 10 weeks, for 10 months. Okay, you got a bunch of different parts that are like little children inside you that are hurt, they're wounded, they have trauma. So you just take your time and reconnect. The more you do it, the more comfortable you begin to get with yourself. So the benefit of this is this: when people start to be abusive and you pick up on, you just look at it. Like right now, I even turned my head like I was looking at this person that did something to me a while back. You just look at them and they're like, oh shit, he sees it. Yeah, because you are connected. See, if you're not connected to yourself and your internal parts, people can damage you all day long and attack, and you won't even notice it because you're not feeling what your gut and your chest is feeling. You have to connect with these areas and feel the feelings, and you'll just look at someone and their unconscious mind, their emotional, oh shit, they're onto me. And the cool thing is you will begin to walk away from people a lot faster. You'll get really good at walking away from abusive people, and then you eventually, now this may take time, but you'll eventually start going, wait a minute, this is a good person. And you're like, well, why didn't I hang out with these people before? Because it wasn't familiar to your system. Your familiarity was abusive people, narcissistic people. That's what you knew. That's what you felt comfortable around because that's what you knew. I know it sounds funny, but we tend to not feel comfortable around something we're not familiar with. So we walk away from that even if it's better. The best way to explain this is I had a therapist, and it was someone, my younger sister told me to go see this lady. And I'm like, why? Because I was doing great in life, everything. And she was, just trust me, she's really good. So I went and talked to her. Well, my sister had told her a lot about our mom. And she said, Michael, was there ever a point in time when all the bills were paid, money was good, your mom had money in the savings, was getting paid good, and there was food on the table, and the kids were doing good in school, and nobody was in trouble? I was like, well, yeah, of course there were times like that. And she goes, what happened? I'm like, what? She goes, what would happen? Things are going really smooth. Everything's good. She goes, like, what would happen, or what would happen after that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? She goes, just think about it for a minute. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a memory came up. Like, oh, my mom would start causing problems. She would get mad at this, or she would punish someone for nothing, or and she goes, yeah, she would purposely or maybe unconsciously create problems and create chaos. I'm like, that's exactly what would happen. And then I said, but why would she do that? And the reason was, she said, Michael, because she's been dealing with chaos her whole life since she was young, and that's all she knows. So when all of a sudden things are peaceful, she doesn't feel comfortable. She feels lost. And over a period of time, she kind of gets nervous and, I don't know the words, but kind of, I can't think of the word, but nervous and kind of freaks out a little bit. So she starts to cause problems. I said, but why? And she said, because she feels comfortable dealing with problems, even though she doesn't like stress and she doesn't like, not having enough money for the bills or kids getting in trouble, whatever. She goes, even though she doesn't like it, she's used to dealing with that stuff. She's used to being in that environment because she knows how to function in that kind of environment, so she can handle it. But when everything is going really good, she's not used to that. She literally doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to handle that. So later in psychology classes, we learned about that. Now, if this lady didn't teach this to me using this example, because my sister had told, she had said, hey, my mom this and that. And so if she didn't have that information, I wouldn't have understood this. It would have, if I just learned it from a book in psychology or in class, It would have went right over my head. I wouldn't have understood it. So here's the transformation you are either going through right now or just went through or have been going through, is you suddenly start to like, no, I'm not going to deal with toxic people. I'm not going to deal with people that play mind games or gaslight. You suddenly like, no, I'm not doing it anymore. So you tend to isolate yourself, and this is a good phase. You are building up what I call the Great Wall of China, as I've said in the past, and you're developing, you're kind of realigning yourself, and you start to slowly open to people that are kinder and politer. And you're like, well, that seemed really nice, and you start to wonder, like, well, why have I not been connecting with these people? It's because on an unconscious level, you couldn't connect with them. You couldn't relate. It felt foreign. It felt odd. It felt weird. So you just popped out of it, not even realizing that you were popping away from these people. Okay, so the number one and number two ways that narcissists got you entangled was, number one, because you were abused and it's like instead of laying down in bed and saying things like to those emotions and feelings inside, like, I love you, it's okay, I'm here for you, and just creating this loving environment for them to heal, you would sit there and say, oh, I'm no good, nobody likes me, and you have this negative dialogue. Well, you literally have to start saying good things to yourself. You have to look in your eyes and say, oh, you're so beautiful, I love you. You have to tell that inner self, that inner child, I love you. You have to look at your eyes. You have to tell your ears, your heart. It could be an emotion. It could be a feeling. It could be your skin. It could be, I remember one time they told us to thank our knees and thank our feet and to thank our hands for everything they do for us, and our joints and our shoulders. And I thought it was kind of silly, but it really makes a difference because it brings the healing into your body. Your body is something that you hijacked. You are just the spirit of you dropped down inside the body close to birth or just after birth. So this is a vehicle that is helping us. It's like riding a horse. You need to thank your horse. You need to thank your body. You need to pet it. You need to caress it. You need to love it, and it will respond. It will get stimulated, and it'll have positive chemistry that will have healing effect versus bad effects such as cancer or knees going bad. You look at a lot of people, it's like, they sit there and say, oh, fuck you, and they say all this. I'm not even going to go there. It's negative energy, and they wonder why their body's not functioning well. So here's what happens. The people around you randomly, school, teacher, work, family, whatever, they were abusive. They would say, you're no good, you're this, and they'd always try to pick you apart. And it's all a game. It really is. It's really a mind game. Their whole goal is to get you, number one, not to self-love. So number two, you don't look for self-approval. Why? So you would look to them so they could abuse you on a regular basis so they could feel good about themselves. You have no idea how powerful you are. And you think I'm just saying that. I'm not. There's a short video on YouTube. It's like one of those 90-second or 60-second videos. And this guy is in this room all alone, locked in with these tigers. And they're about to open that door so they can go in the other room to feed. Now, what you don't see is these lions, and I didn't take the right picture, but these lions would look at him. They were terrified. They were growling, but they all like had their tails tucked, and they were like curling away. They were afraid. And he just got this little stick. That's all he's got. And the minute he raises it, they instantly pull away, and they kind of roar, like, because they're afraid. They kind of growl, but not an aggressive growl. It's really sad. When I saw it, my gut just like tightened up, and it was like a pang in my gut. And I instantly related this to what narcissists do to us. So on this video, someone wrote, "This is a perfect example of years from abuse and trauma. Notice how the tiger flinched as soon as the man raised the stick. A tiger doesn't lose its confidence overnight. Here's what I'm trying to get you to finally understand. You are the tiger. You've always been that 400-pound, 500-pound tiger. They know it. It's the reason why, you see, a lot of you think, oh, it was just my mom and then my brothers and my sister. No. It was 1 out of 5 teachers. It was the grocery store clerks. It was this person. It was that person. You were everywhere you go, you'd get. But you just think, oh, this is just the way life is. No, it's not. It's not. How do I know? Because I came out of it. I don't live like that anymore. I don't let people treat me that way. In fact, people don't treat me that way anymore. See, you have to imagine, what if for some reason one of those tigers got sick and tired of it and they turned on that guy? All those other tigers would be like, wait a minute, he threw him around like a little rag doll. What the hell? They would all go, wait a minute, we're this powerful? See, the reason why they constantly traumatize you, whether it's going to the bike shop, someone scares you or embarrasses you, humiliates you, this is all trauma. The reason why this group of people around the planet do this constantly to us, they can see us, number one. As number two, is they don't want you to see you. Because then you would realize they're the weak ones and you've always been the powerful one. Here's the deal. I want to say this one more time. I don't mean this to be, oh, rah, rah, like a cheerleader. I am telling you, it is exactly like the smallest lion in this group. Let's say it's only 425 pounds, if there is one that's smaller, tiger, could destroy that guy with that stick with one single swipe. You guys are unbelievably spiritually powerful. You could pray to get them fired. You could pray to get them to move out of town. You could pray to get them to whatever. I walk around like these tigers, and the people that used to screw with me just a mere few 4, 5, 6 years ago, they look at me like, whoa, what the fuck? Like they can't even look me in the eye anymore. Do you know why? Because they can see, oh shit, he knows who he is. He woke up. Meaning, I will not put up with the bullshit I went through in the past. The games, the lies, all the bullshit. When a tiger knows that it's powerful, it doesn't mess around. You begin to live a much, much more peaceful existence. So, the first time that I started to begin to exist in this way was when I went to a training in Hawaii for 5 weeks. That had a profound impact on me. Because every day we would do internal awareness techniques, we would do internal checks, and so the entire training was about being open to your internal system, your right brain and your internal system, the nerves that go down into your body, your intuition, your emotions, your feelings. So when I came back from Hawaii, I had a friend that I was telling about my course, and he starts like, and I didn't catch it, but this was the first time I caught it. Like, he was always telling me what was right, what was wrong, what to think, what to believe, what to do, what not to do. And I don't think it was out of a mean way. It was maybe even out of a helpful way. But whenever he would say something, I didn't realize I was doing this until we had this experience. I kind of put my awareness inside. Then I looked back out at him. I'd listen. I'd go back inside. I was going inside for the first time in my life to check to see how I felt about what he had just said. And that's what we would call in NLP an internal check. It's the same thing that I call internal awareness. And I think internal awareness is a little bit more about really feeling the emotions. Well, regardless, it started bringing me back inside to look for my own permission. Well, what do I think about this? Whereas before, I would never even think that, even consciously or unconsciously. Now here's the deal. I had lived in Hawaii for 5 weeks doing this the entire time, not even realizing I was doing it. I was doing it at restaurants, I was doing it at grocery stores, I was doing it at the beach, and when I was having conversation with people, and I didn't even know I was doing it until I came back to California. I was talking to this friend, and again, when I was doing it, I wasn't conscious that I was doing it. It was just a system that was being built into me, something that they were showing us how to do on an unconscious level. So here I was for the first time in my life. He would say something, oh, well, I don't believe that, or, blah, blah, blah. And I would just go inside in a very comfortable, casual way, and I would look out, and I remember I looked at him, and then I went back inside, like, oh, he's pissed. And I look back out, and I do an internal check, like, wow, he's really pissed. Like, what's he mad? I was like, oh, he's mad that I'm thinking for myself, or a better way of saying is that he's mad that I'm feeling for myself. And that was when I began to realize this is not the most healthiest person for me to be around anymore. So as I moved forward in life, I began to become more and more independent as I went into my 30s and 40s, etc. And then when I got caught up with this group of narcissists, boom, I was like, what the hell? Like, I picked it up really fast. I was like, what's going on? Something's not right. Because I was feeling things that did not feel good at all. Now, these were the pros of the pros of the pros. These were the slickest people I've ever met in my life. They had it down. They had a system. They obviously practiced a lot. They knew what they were doing. They were taught what to do. I would say they essentially were a cult. And yet, I caught it in a matter of weeks to months, and I was like, okay, so here's my point. It's what saved me. It's what got me out of this group super fast. If I didn't do this internal awareness stuff, self-love, holding myself, allowing my parts to feel the emotions, if I didn't love myself, if I didn't learn to be internal, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. Probably would have got caught up in drugs, probably would have been homeless, who knows, I may not even be here. But instead, it became a very, very victorious and very empowering experience. Because my intuition was through the roof. I picked up on stuff. I was reading things. I was seeing right through people's lives. It was the most powerful experience I've ever had in my life. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can turn this around 180 degrees if you just learn how to reconnect and self-love. The best course that I have for this is the course for men. I call it Cracked Female Code, teaching men how to communicate effectively and understand women and tune into themselves so they can tune into her and connect with her on a deeper, more meaningful emotional level, etc. Is during the 5 or 6 day training. This is an all-day training. It's about 7 hours a day, maybe even 8 at times. Is I'm constantly grounding myself. I'm constantly doing grounding techniques with them so they can ground and reground, so they can really connect with this experience. So when they go home, they can begin to do the techniques effectively, and it completely shifts a man's world. Their whole life changes. So as I'm making this video, I realize I'm probably going to have to develop a course to do at least a 3, maybe 4 day grounding course for people to attend so they can work on this over and over and over. An interesting thing I learned during the hypnosis trainings was, so when people get up on stage to do stage hypnosis, well, I don't do stage hypnosis, by the way, but they were trying to help us to understand something, the way our brains work, okay? The people that get up on stage and will act funny or, dance weird or act like, hey, I'm Elvis Presley, right? So what's really going on, look, when you're hypnotized, you're not really hypnotized. You're actually much more conscious and aware, okay? That's why I think it's funny they call it hypnosis. It should be called unhypnosis or de-hypnosis. Because here's what happens. They actually take you out of the trance. So all the work I do with my clients, like, I feel much more aware. I'm like, yeah, that's consciousness. That's the goal. So what I've been doing with you guys is showing you what people have done to you. Like those tigers, they put these tigers in this false belief that, oh, this one man all by himself can kick our ass. And it's like, it's absolutely not true at all. That is a trance. So essentially, when people do wild and crazy things, or maybe they want to sing but they're too afraid, but they'll do it when they go on stage hypnosis, or maybe when they get drunk, then they'll laugh and they'll be silly. Like there was this one guy that lived across the street from this girl I was dating, and he looked really angry. Like the guy just looked, and she was, no, he's actually a really cool guy. And I forget what she said. She said, you should see him when he drinks. I'm like, is he an angry drunk? She goes, no, the opposite. It's like he's so happy. I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah, the funny thing is that's the only time that he's happy. Now at this point, I was probably about 27, 20 years old. I'd already gone through all the NLP training, psychology classes, etc. And I realized what it was for him, drinking allowed him to be his true self. It's kind of sad because, at least according to Kelly, he was just a beautiful soul, a beautiful person, a happy guy, and he needed to drink to be that way. See, what all of these things are called permission slips. It's like when you get a hallway pass when you're in elementary, middle school, and to go to the bathroom. So the teacher goes, here, take the pass, so the hallway monitor doesn't give you detention or stop you or whatever. All these are permission slips. See, getting drunk or doing drugs or getting hypnotized, do you know what that really is? It's just a permission slip. It's like, okay, well, it wasn't really me. I was just that way because I was drunk. Or I did that because, well, hypnotherapist. Hypnosis is like a mutual agreement, okay? So all of these things are just an excuse for you to be who you really are. And that's an awesome thing, to be you. And that's what my coaching and my teaching, my therapy is all about. People that have shamed you and abused you for just being yourself. Or a lot of times people will shame you for being good at something. And that's what narcissists will do. If they know you got a talent, it'll make them jealous. And every time you do it, they'll either scare you, make a loud noise, or they'll be angry. And they attach all these negative emotions. They may even shame you, may tell you you suck, or you're stupid, oh, you don't know what you're doing. And all of this starts getting attached to this very thing that you love to do. And all of a sudden, even thinking about doing it makes you feel shame or fear or feel sad or guilty, and you don't even know why. So just like the tigers in that video, they got turned against themselves. Like, have you ever been at home and you're singing and dancing, but you would never do it in front of your friends? Or let's say, like, there's something you wanted to say, and when you got home, you're like, oh, why didn't I say that? It's because you were taught not to say things that you wanted to say. You were taught that your thoughts don't matter, or they don't count, or, oh, you're stupid. So this is why you have to get to heal these things. So here's an example. So the idea is to get both your engines to go in the same direction forward. So on a conscious level, you want to do this, but unconsciously, which is your emotional system, you were punished and shamed and hurt. So you're like, no, I can't do that. So you put the brakes on. So it's like you've got one engine pulling backwards, you got one engine going forward, and now you're fighting yourself internally. This is called a parts conflict or a belief conflict. When we can get your parts and your beliefs in alignment and they are healed and become one, now you have two engines going in the same direction, and now you finally begin to realize how powerful you truly are. If you are looking for coaching and healing work, this is what I do. Everything I talk about in my videos, whether it's energy healing, emotionally healing, coaching, getting in alignment, this is the work that I was trained to do. Hey, God bless you guys. If you like this video, click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment, and if you want, go ahead and make a donation. There's a donation link in the description box below. See you guys in the next video. Bye.